It's been several days since the second attempt on former President Trump's life, and we're starting to see how that has affected the polls. So today we're going to look at the latest polls from after the attempt and how that has affected the polls and possibly the outcome of the 2024 presidential election. As you can see here, this map is already partly filled out based on our other polling video with a few changes. Oregon is the most right-leaning out of the left coast states, and the only poll we have from a while ago only put Vice President Harris 5% ahead of Trump, which would only put them in the lean category. But Oregon has historically been a safe or likely state for the Democrats, so we changed that to likely there. We also changed Alaska from safe to likely as well, because the most recent poll on the 13th only put Trump ahead of Harris by 5 percentage points. Once again, Alaska's historically been either a safe or likely state for Republicans, so we're putting it on likely for now. All these other states you see on the map have polls that have not been updated since the assassination attempt on Trump. But either way, these states most likely wouldn't change either way. So we'll only be looking at polls conducted after the 16th to see how they've changed. Let's start out with California, which, surprising to nobody, is safe for the vice president. As you can see, Harris leads Trump by 31.5 percentage points based on the latest poll taken September 19th. Now we move on to Nevada. Based on polls done by Morning Consult and Emerson College on the 19th, we can see Trump and Harris tie the one, but Harris leads by 4 in the other. So no matter what way you look at it, Harris is barely in the lead in Nevada, putting them in the tilt margin. Arizona is next, and with the average of the 3 polls here conducted after the 16th, it's a tie, with Harris leading by 1 point in one poll, Trump leading by 1 point in another, and the third showing a tie. So to break this tie, we'll look at the previous polls and the average overall, which puts Trump at a slight lead. That would put Arizona in the tilt red category. Colorado is in the likely category in favor of Harris, based on this poll, putting her ahead by 11 percentage points. However, as you can see, she's lost some support from her previous poll done on the 9th. Not enough to change it to lean, but something to note for sure. In the most recent poll in Texas, we can see Trump has lost some points from previous polls. However, this is only one poll, and Texas is usually more red than a tilt margin of 4%. So although this poll puts him there, we'll put him in the lean category. Minnesota is the most progressive of the Rust Belt states, especially with Walz, their governor, being the vice president for Kamala Harris. And that's reflected here with the vice president 7% ahead of Trump, based on this poll done by Morning Consult on the 19th. This puts it in the lean category. Now, if any of the battleground states will flip in Trump's favor, it would be Wisconsin or Michigan. We have quite a few polls for Wisconsin from the past few days after the attempt on the former president's life. And out of the 5 polls, 4 of them put Kamala Harris ahead by 1 percentage point. One of them even puts Trump ahead. This is significantly better than what Trump was seeing before in the polls. As you can see, Trump was falling behind by multiple percentage points. Even though Harris is still ahead on average, Trump is catching up. For now, though, Wisconsin is tilt blue. Michigan is one that was frequently put in the tilt category, but as of current polls, we can see Harris leads on average by about 5 percentage points. This will put them barely in the lean blue category. Indiana will be safe for the former president, as it's always been, with the latest poll showing him leading by 17 percentage points. Ohio has voted for Trump in both 2016 and 2020 with likely margins, and he will continue to lead heavily with 9% ahead of Harris. This will put Ohio in the lean category. Donald Trump has been doing better in Ohio this election than in previous ones, most likely due to his running mate. Kamala Harris leads Maine by 9%, only putting this in the lean category for the Democrats. As you can see, the previous polls, Harris was leading by a much bigger margin. Maine's 1st district shows Harris leading by a safe margin, while its 2nd district shows Trump leading by 7%, putting the 1st district in the safe blue category and the 2nd district in the lean red category. The latest poll from New Hampshire shows Harris leading by 11 percentage points, putting this in the likely category for the vice president. Massachusetts will be safe blue for Harris, according to this one poll that shows her ahead by over 30 percentage points, which isn't surprising at all. In New York, Harris is only leading by 13%, putting them in the likely blue category. Both Clinton and Biden won the Empire State by safe margins in the previous elections, so she really should be doing better, but this is what the polls say. Rhode Island shows Harris leading by 20 percentage points, putting this in the safe blue category for her. She's also leading by a safe margin in Maryland, putting them also in the safe blue category. This poll in Virginia shows Harris leading by 7 percentage points, putting it in the lean blue for Kamala. Now, in order for Trump to win here, he needs to win Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Pennsylvania. All these need to go to the former president if he wants to take back the White House. We'll start in Florida, which shows Trump ahead by 3 percentage points, according to this poll on the 19th. This puts it in the tilt red category. Most of the other polls show him ahead by a bigger margin, but once again, we're only looking at polls taken after the 16th. Trump lost Georgia in 2020, but polls are showing him consistently ahead by 1 to 3%, putting them in the tilt red category. North Carolina has polls showing either of them ahead by only 1%. If we take the average of all of them, we can see this puts Kamala Harris ever so slightly ahead of the former president, meaning this would be a victory for Kamala Harris. Now, as for Pennsylvania, we have a couple polls showing Trump in the lead by a very slim margin, but we have even more polls showing Kamala in the lead, with some saying she's ahead by up to 4%. On average, though, Pennsylvania is tilt blue in favor of Harris as well. So there you have it. Even after the second assassination attempt on Donald Trump, Kamala Harris still is predicted to win the White House, according to the current polls. However, Trump is catching up in some states, and the national polls show him closing the gap between him and the vice president. So subscribe to Groundhog Politics to stay updated on the latest polls.